Hollis, author of the Hall Man series and owner of Hall Man Publishing, and Frank Fiore, host of Fridays with Frank. Frank, how are you? And I know you're excited about our guest today.
Yep, I'm ready to go.
You're ready to go because I just keep adding more and more people. Our guest today is Gail Lukasik, author, and her book is What They Never Told Us: True Stories of Family Secrets and Hidden Identities Revealed. How are you, Gail? Thanks for stopping by.
I am great, and thank you for having me on the show.
Okay, so how did this start? And then I'll have Frank ask a question. How did you decide to write this book? Give me the whole background.
All right. The book prior to this was White Like Her, My Family Story of Race and Racial Passing, which was a memoir. And I revealed in that book that my mother had been passing for white. So after the book came out, I ended up being asked to be on, back then it was the Megyn Kelly Today Show. So I was on that show with my lost family. Once my mother decided to pass, there were family members I knew nothing about, and they didn't know about me. My mother's from New Orleans. So anyway, after being on the show, the book comes out, and suddenly I get this avalanche of emails from strangers through my website, not just from the US, but from around the world. And they all wanted to talk to me and tell me their family secret. Now, I'm a stranger, but I guess they felt because I revealed mine, they wanted to tell me theirs. And so this went on for a while, and I was very busy with the first book, White Like Her. But once things sort of calmed down, I realized maybe there's another book here, a follow-up book. But this time would be more about other people's family secrets and what happens when you make these kinds of discoveries.
Oh wow. Okay. All right, let's go, Frank. What are your thoughts on the secret family secrets revealed? Do
So
you have any
is
secrets that you need to reveal, Frank, that are hidden?
I'm 100% WAP, and that's about it. Our family is completely Italian, so we did our 1, 2, 3 thing, and we maneuvered all the way up from Africa, went through a whole bunch of countries and all that kind of stuff, and ended up in Italy. But anyway, so is this a bio of all these different people, or is there a novel interweaved into this, or you just have a sample of what these people's quote unquote secrets are?
Well, there are 14 people in the book. They're all true stories. And the majority of the people in the book made their discoveries when they took a DNA test, like
Yeah.
an
Mhm.
ancestry or something like that.
Mhm.
And they're pretty shocking. A lot of them found out either one or both their parents weren't their parents.
Wow.
So they were adopted, or in some cases, I have a whole section on people who were donor conceived. And also, some people found out they weren't even the race they thought they were, which is another issue about identity. So everyone in the book had an identity crisis, one way or the other.
Yeah, my brother-in-law did the same thing. He actually found a long lost cousin or something, and using 1, 2, 3, and so that was fascinating that he found him that way. Didn't know he existed. So so in
Yeah.
fact that they're going out to see him they're there now in New Mexico,
Oh,
uh,
wow.
and before they come to us on Sunday for Thanksgiving. And so yeah, it's just amazing.
Gail, some of this popularity's disappeared in a way. It used to be so popular, 23andMe or one of the other sites to find family history, origin, different things like that. Do you feel it's lost some of its luster, and you're kind of trying to bring it back in a way because people had access to it and they're really interested in ancestry, or is it still pretty popular?
From my research, I think it's still pretty popular, and I'll give you some stats.
Okay.
I want to get them right. Since 2019, it's estimated that about 100 million people in the US have taken a DNA test. And of those 100 million, about 4 in 10, or 38%, have unexpected familial results. So I think it's still popular. I get it all the time. I'm sure you do. Ancestry's having a sale. It's the holidays. What
Yeah.
better gift? The gift for people who have everything. Find out about your family roots. So I think I don't know how strong it's going since the very beginning, but it looks like the numbers are pretty good.
Okay, that's interesting you say that. I think that, you look at the different shows and the different things. I don't see it as pushed out there in the mainstream media as much I mean, not mainstream, in the mainstream advertising and stuff as it when it first came out. And so many people were
Yeah.
doing the tests, the DNA tests and all those different things. Or do you like more the research end of things versus figuring it out through DNA?
Well, I did a lot of research for the book. I learned a lot too. That's the great thing about research. I have the books in three sections. So the first is race and ethnicity. And actually, in that section, I begin at talking about my own journey to redefine my race. How do I feel racially? Because every time I give a talk, people say to me, "Oh, you know your Black ancestry, so how do you identify racially?" So I also have other people in there who found out they were a different race or ethnicity.
Okay.
Second section's all about adoption. And then the third, donor conception. So I did a lot of research into adoption and a lot more into donor conception, which I knew very little about.
Okay. I get where you're going with this, and it's very intriguing. It's perfect timing, I guess, in a lot of ways for people to look at it. Paul, what questions do you have for Gail?
Well, hi, Gail.
I,
Actually, these guys know me, and family secrets. I was thinking of murders, when I first heard about this, thinking murders and real things in the closet. So I apologize for that. But I think actually the DNA searches are really really needed in this world, and just to find out where what is. I think it really kind of refocuses people's
Oh,
thought
yeah.
processes of where they've been and what they're doing and what they will do with their futures, et cetera. So I'm a big advocate of DNA testing, and I'd like to actually see it in everyone do it so that the police have all that information too, honestly, because that'll cut down on crime as well. So anyway,
well,
That's
no
it's
question.
funny you brought up murder because there's actually, try and make this short, but I have a man in there. His name's Brad Ewell. He's a Texas cop.
okay.
And he takes a DNA test. And a few years later, he's contacted by a woman who claims she's his maternal aunt. He doesn't know who she is. So, long story short, he finds out through this woman and doing more research that he's been adopted. So, the people who raised him are not his biological parents. Okay, not only does he find that out, but he finds out that his biological father, still living, is serving a life sentence for murder without the possibility of parole in one of the worst prisons in the US, Angola in Louisiana.
Oh my gosh.
So he's a Texas cop, biological dad, a murderer. I don't
Hmm.
want to spoil the whole story, but I will tell you this. Um, he does go to meet him, and it's a real surprising meeting. So
Very
there is
interesting.
murder.
Okay.
So I was thinking the same thing as Paul. I thought we're gonna go uncover murders now.
Well, one.
And then like family secrets. So there's a lot of family secrets. That was a joke I was doing with Frank, but honestly, I think you're right. When they uncover things, oh my gosh, let's just say you are kind of, against certain cultures or certain things, and you find out, oh my gosh, I have relatives.
Yeah.
What was I thinking? Do you see changes in people's outlook on race after reading
Not
a book
so
like
much in
yours?
not so much in the people, of course, no, not so much the people I interviewed, but yeah, I read research where people have had to really come to terms with maybe they were racist in certain regards, and then they find out, oh, geez, that's part of my ancestry. Wait a second, I got to rethink that. But nobody in the book had that experience, though I did have a man, um, actually from Seattle area who he's living there now, was a huge Irish Catholic family, and he always stood out. Everyone was blue-eyed, fair skin, and he had dark hair, dark curly hair, dark eyes. And when he went to school, he was called all kinds of racist names, terrible stuff, even the N-word. So when he went and asked his dad about it, his father said, "Look, you're my son. It's a recessive gene. Well, after his parents die, he takes the DNA test. That was not true. Yes, his mother was a white woman, but his father was a black man.
Oh,
So
wow.
I'll leave that there. So he had to rethink his whole racial identity.
Past the Neil Haley show.
Wow,
and
that's
Celebrity
crazy. That's absolutely nuts.
Yeah.
Well, Frank, what question you have? Or are you able to ask a question for Gail?
Well, I was going to ask you about the murderers. I thought you were about that because I thought that would be really fascinating. But no, I mean, this is a wonderful thing that people, because it happened in my own life. I mean, with my brother-in-law, so we could see how that happens, and you could be really surprised. If you had to pick one thing uh, out of your book that was, really beside the murder in the family, but was you pick one thing that people would really be interested in seeing and happen. What story would you choose?
Oh, it's like asking me who my favorite child is, right?
That's a tough thing. Yeah.
Yeah, there are so many good stories. Well, let me tell you briefly, Kara Rubenstein Darin. She is now the CEO of Right to Know, which is Right to Know Your Genetic Identity. And she was raised by a white mom, thought her father was a black man. I mean, she was totally in her father's life, was with his family. She thought she was biracial, fought as a child for that identity. She was called all kinds of racial slurs in school. One time, a girl asked her, "Are you biracial?" And she said, "I am." And the girl slapped her in the face. So she really, really was into her Black culture. Takes a DNA test because she's thinking her and her Black dad will go to Africa and they'll find their roots, right?
Right.
She gets her DNA test. Yes, she's half white, but the other half is Ashkenazi Jew.
Ah,
She is not biracial. So she
Oh my goodness.
Yes, and so she goes in search of her biological father. This is even more shocking. She finds out he's deceased, but he's an extremely famous man in the Seattle area, Sam Rubenstein, who
Mhm.
was the Salmon King, known as the Salmon King of Seattle. So that was a huge discovery. I don't want to tell you too much because I'd like people to read it,
Yeah.
but
You just definitely don't give it away.
yeah. So there's more to that
I'm gonna give
than
you
I'm
that tip
telling
as
you.
a yeah.
now my wife, was given the oral history by her mother, my mother-in-law, and they came over from the on the Mayflower. They're Wasp right down the line, okay, and so her family's that all those Wasp. Anyway, they traced them back, and one of the family traced it back, but stopped when they found out that one of them was a pirate and he was skinned and hung on the dock. And said, "That's it. We're not going back any further."
Actually, I would like that. I wish I could find that in my family tree. I think that's interesting because then I'll write another book about it.
All right, Gail. So what is your hope for what your readers get out of this book? What is your hope?
Well, I have several. One is if you're a parent who is keeping a family secret from your adult child, I don't give advice, but I would say maybe think about it. Maybe think about talking to them about it, because wouldn't it be better if you explained it and you could give your reasons why you kept the secret rather than having this shocking discovery when they do a DNA test. Also, I would say people who are going to do a DNA test, be prepared. You might get a surprise.
All right. Well, we appreciate it. Best place people can find information on you, purchase your book. Where can they go?
Amazon.
All right.
Yeah,
That's
Amazon, and it's Gail, Gail Lukasik, Lukasik.
Thank you, Gail. Appreciate it.
Thank you so
Goodbye.
much.